Hi, Eric here. Here is sample pages from the ebook Trick Photography and Special Effects by Evan Charbonneau. So I'm just going to take a minute or two to kind of show you what pages he includes to kind of give you an idea of what's in here. You've got this really cool cover here with this light drawing there. And then we get into the legal section where he talks about copyrights and that kind of thing. And we get to the table of contents, and this is where it gets really interesting. So let me kind of make this bigger here so you can kind of see. The first section is about long exposure effects and light painting. So he talks about shutter speed, white balance, and a long list of types of light sources: flashlights, LED strips, fiber optics. uh, I've heard many photographers say you don't photograph people or landscapes, you photograph light. So that's what it's all about. So these first pages of this trick photography book is about light and different ways of producing light so that you can create some really cool and mind-blowing effects. It talks about gels and light painting techniques as well. And then it gets to another page of the table of contents. It starts about lightning, motion blur, star trails, going past 30-second exposure time. So you get to work with time exposures on your DSL camera. So here's mine. Here is a Nikon D70. I traded my GoPro for this because I wanted to use something I would use every day. So there it is right there. Okay, so you'll be adjusting your exposure time on your DSL camera. Okay, module 2 is about trick photography and special effects. Many of these are in-camera illusions. So you create it with your camera as opposed to using Photoshop. So forced perspective, shadow heart, monitor draw sting, transparent screen with and without Photoshop. A whole lot of different effects for in-camera illusions. HDR photography as well as infrared. And we go to another page. 360 by 180 planet panoramas, stitching HDR, and working with trees. So these are some really cool stuff. Then you'll get into some post-production with Photoshop projects using layer mask and blending modes, as well as multiplicity photography, levitation, invisible people, and flesh manipulations. And he has a foreword from him. He wants you to remember that all the images in the book are hyperlinked, so you can find them on the internet and look at them more in detail for yourself. Okay, oops. Let me go back here. Yeah. So there he is right there. Okay, so he talks about, and this is page, he jumps to page 14. He talks about setting the aperture. Some of this is sort of basic camera knowledge. And he shows the difference between your f-stop and what the difference is when you increase your exposure time. And he shows your depth of field differences here with this flower versus this one here with a different f-stop. And we're jumping to page 28. So here he's showing some physiograms with light, and it's really cool how he sets this up. And there's also a video on how to do this. You put your camera on the floor facing upward, right underneath the light. You set your light in motion and you get these effects. Really cool. You can use many different strings to create this complex movement of getting the light to create the physiogram. Okay, then he jumps to page 54, and you see you're able to write text. And just keep in mind that some of these took a while to make happen, but you see it's a really cool effect. Okay, and then it goes to page 57, and he creates these domes, these really cool domes of light in urban areas, and also that's really cool right there in front of a barn. Okay, and then here's a waterfall long exposure chart example. 5 seconds, 15 seconds, a fifth, an eighth, and an 80th. So you see how you're able to make a difference in your image. This is page 69. Shape bokeh is a bold, big, bold, blotchy circles, and it creates an interesting effect. It shows you how to do this. Here's interesting. Cut out a small shape into a construction paper and tape it over the lens. Oh, that has cool. This hole should be about the size of one of your fingernails, if not smaller. That shows you how to do that. And there's a nice shot of a leaf. This is page 91. So HDR photograph. And he says, put it here. Here are the steps on how to do this. So you could probably already do this. This is on page 90, and of course this is version 1. He's got version 2 out there now, so the pages may change. It's page 99. He talked about white balance and color correction for infrared photography, and you see how ethereal that looks. Really cool. And that's on page 108. And then creative 360 by 180 composition. This is where he likes to feature a tree or some kind of single tall object. And he does some weird, interesting things here on page 127. He talks about the Harris shutter effect, and where you start using Photoshop. And many of these you want to use a tripod. He talks about the steps you take to create some really cool things on page 142. We get into levitation. Levitation is really easier than you think. And you see these photographs here. This is page 161. And floating fruit can be done with a blank background, which will only require one shot. And you can have a complex background, which will require one shot of the fruit plus another shot of just the background. So that's pretty cool there. That is page 165. And we continue along with that. And some of this is using Photoshop to do overlays. And there's your Photoshop screen right there. Page 170. So those are some sample pages to kind of show you that this is for real. And he does give you a little bit of content in here, so you could probably fill in the blanks if you want to try one of these techniques. So anyway, I'm Eric. Buy the book from me, Trick Photography, Workbook.com. Check out the Facebook page for samples. Check out the sample book, and get your DSLR camera and go have some fun. Create some really cool photographs, and if you want, enter contest. You just may win. Thank you.